how to identify these shadows that are just keeping you from maybe charging a little more, keeping you from truly owning your value, keeping you from saying, oh, I can work with these ideal clients that are a little scary, a little intimidating for me, but maybe they're waiting for you, right? But we can't sometimes see our own value.
Hey there, I'm Mai De Leon, and my mission is to help creatives like you translate what you love to do into a highly profitable income. I'm a mom of 3 who began as a lettering artist and grew it into a 6-figure business. If I made it possible, so can you. Every week, we'll dive deep into topics like building your confidence, getting comfortable talking about money, and nurturing your passion while juggling life and family. So if you're an ambitious creative who wants to craft the life you love, get cozy, feel at home, and listen to the Confident Creator Show. So my guest today is actually the founder of the Intuitive Business School and specializes in helping people identify their creative genius, gifts, and create a big impact in the world. So her first book, Shadow Magic, Turn Your Fear into Fuel and Create a Prosperous Coaching Business, shows readers how to overcome self-sabotage, personal self-sabotage, and build a thriving career and business. So here she is, the Shadow Queen herself, Anna Tsui. Hi, Anna.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Oh, this is so exciting.
Yes. I am so excited because you joined us today. So Anna is a good friend. So we met inside a mastermind. We had the same coach before. And that is where we met. And she has a very interesting business, which I truly, truly love. Anna has helped me in so many ways. Especially in terms of, working with my mindset and all of my fears and doubts. Because even though you see me right here, right now, I still have like all these doubts and fears, and it's crippling sometimes. So Anna has been there with me for the longest time. I don't know, 2 years? We've met each other 2 years ago. So it is super fun. So Anna, I know that you are quite known in the business industry already, but in the creative industry, I want to introduce you to people. So tell us about who you are, what you do, and especially like, how do you think we can help creatives right now who are struggling in terms of getting clients?
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here with you again, seeing your beautiful face that, by the way, never ages. And I think you should teach about your skincare routine. That's another future live, right? Yeah. And I actually love what you said about how, we as people can be very successful, and people might even say that we're the most confident person in the room. But I hear all the time, I'm not, right? I struggle with so much, and I have these fears and these doubts. And chances are a lot of these fears and doubts are really running the show in terms of our business and even with our creativity, right? Because as creatives, also I'm an artist, right? There's something that we know where maybe we have a vision that might be a little bit too bold, or we're afraid of, okay, where would this take me, or what would my clients or students think? And so those questions that we have, those fears and those doubts, they can stop us from really being in our genius. And being in your genius is one of the requirements of getting amazing clients and building a really great body of work. And so that's the reason why I wrote Shadow Magic, is because every single person that I talk to, they realize that at some point, fear is really what's running the show. And of course, I'm very familiar with my own fears and my own shadows. And I've been able to build a really productive relationship with it that's allowed me to grow exponentially, because every time we grow, more shadows come to the surface, right? More fears, different fears of even bigger success, fears of failure. It actually never stops. So that's why it's important to be aware of them and to build a relationship with them so you can just really thrive in whatever you're doing.
Yes, that is so interesting. And you mentioned it is the number one requirement to get high-end clients, working on your genius, right? So we talked about number one already. And you guys, we still have 4. So we still have 4 things to talk about. But it's interesting that Anna talked about fear, because fear was the number one thing I think that we also introduced when we started the podcast episode, because people have a lot of those. And especially creatives. And sometimes we magnify those fears instead of actually trying to embrace it and turning it into fuel that drives us to take action. So thank you for sharing that, Anna. So remember, what do you mean? So a lot of people ask me this thing. What do you mean when you talk about your genius?
Yeah, because there's things that we're really good at, right? Which some people, Gay Hendricks, might call your zone of excellence. So let's say you're really good at doing real life sketches, right? Or you're really good at, some people are really good at spreadsheets or something, and they maybe build their business and they do really well. That might not be your zone of genius. So your genius is really, it's very nuanced. It's how you show up in your life and your unique perspective on the world. It's also your life experiences. So that fused together creates this unique flavor, which is you, right? And which is a big reason why someone might hire you over someone else that maybe has similar skills. And so your genius is really how you show up into a room, and also the almost like emotional relationships that that's the reason why your clients hire you. So a lot of times, almost every person I work with, I get the feedback that they love my sense of calm, especially when they're in, kind of crazy mode, right? And that's one of the things of my genius, is that in times of chaos, I can actually just be calm. So a part of your genius is also that emotional connection that your clients have with you. And the important thing is to know that your genius is also your medicine for your clients. And I'll explain that really quickly. So no matter what you do, whether you're a doctor or you're an artist or you're a coach or you're a teacher, there's something about your being, right? That's medicine for someone, almost like a parent. And, and I know who to go to when I have this problem.
Yes.
And, when we're a service provider, our clients think that about us. They might not say it out loud, right? But usually we take on some sort of, we have some sort of emotional connection to them. And that is part of your genius. And when you can find out what that is and really be in that space, then more people will come to you because you're their medicine.
Yes. And I think my coach actually said something interesting about that. He said, people don't hire coaching services, they hire coaches.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And I think it also goes for artists and creatives. Like, people or clients don't just buy art. They hire the artist, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that was a very interesting story that also happened to me. Because I used to charge really high for my creative services when I started. And that's why actually my good friend Becca of the Happy Ever Crafter called me the anomaly. Because I did not have a lot of experience in dealing with people who pay me really low. Because from the get-go, I was clear that, I'm not going to do this if it doesn't pay me well, because it's going to take away my time for my kid. So I was very clear on that. And I charge a good amount of money. I only take on clients who can pay me well. And most of the clients, that's why you won't see me work on so many clients in a year. I don't have that big clientele list. That's the reason. Because sometimes my client will have a project and I'm going to have to work with that for 3 months, 4 months. But I got well paid. So that is the thing. They hired me because I know that it's me who's going to be doing the job. They know that it's me who's going to be doing the job, not someone else. And they worked with me despite knowing that she might not be able to deliver this really fast. She's going to take a while because they know my circumstances. I have posted on Instagram before that I have a child with special needs and he takes up so much of my time, and that's okay. So I only work when he's taking a nap. Okay, which was interesting. So good thing you brought that up.
That's number 2, which is in terms of what high-end clients require. It's your standard. So you're absolutely right. They're like, whatever it is, we just want to work with you, right? Like, we know, we understand, these are your standards. This is what you require for your clients. And so that already makes a big difference between everyone else who's doing the same thing. So when you're able to establish, okay, listen, guys, I'm an artist, right? And the reason why I do the great work that I do is because I also have a life, right? And that's really important to me. And to be honest, I tell my clients that too. I go on vacation, right? I have days off and we're not going to connect, and that's totally okay. But you know what? They love that, right? When I put down my standards, because they don't want to work with a coach who's exhausted, overworked, answering emails at midnight. They don't want that. And so the more that we know what our standards are for us to do the best work, and we tell that to our clients and our students, because you're absolutely right. They want to hire us as the person. So everything it takes to maintain us, which is why I notice a lot of beginner coaches and people in the industry, they sacrifice so much, they overgive, and that actually sets you up for more of a lower end program or lower end energy, because then you're just attracting people who just want to take. But you did a really great job of setting your standards. Like, no, if you want to work with me, this is how I work. This is what's required. That sets you up for clients who really appreciate you, right? And what you do. So that's awesome.
Wow, I did not know that. To me at the time, I was just, I don't want to take hours away from my son. It's going to be taking hours of preparing him for his therapies and prepping everything he needs. That's just my thought. I did not know that it was one of actually the requirements of clients. So makes me wonder now, oh yeah, so that was why they made the decision to work with me despite knowing the facts that I might not be able to deliver that fast.
Yeah. And they'll make the accommodations, right? So we as service providers, sometimes we think, oh, I have to be very accommodating and I have to work extra hours. And that's just not true, right? Because if you do a good job being in your genius and really showing up as who you are, they're like, I really just want to work with you. And actually my little sister's a tattoo artist, and she has also standards for her clientele. And there's certain tattoo artists that have wait lists for years, right?
Wow.
Because they're like, I just want to work with them whenever they're available. And sometimes they just open up their books for 3 months out of the year, right? And that's all they need. And so I really encourage everyone, especially creatives, we know what we need to be inspired, right? To fill our cup so that we can do our best work.
Exactly.
And I'm saying, yeah, definitely do that. And you're a great example of that, because then the higher end clients will come.
Yep. Interesting. I love it. So let's jump and talk about number 3, because I'm super excited about it. This is one thing that we don't often do. So I know you sent me the list. So let's have Anna say that to you.
I was looking at the list too. I was like, what's number 3? Number 3, I love this because it's just it's flowing with the conversation. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is when you're really clear and you're basically saying, oh, this is who my ideal client is, my ideal student, right? These are the people who love working with me. Mm-hmm. And maybe, if let's say I take, this is true, I take 3 or 4 days off during the week. And so if someone needs me 24 hours a day and needs a lot of time with me, they might not love working with me, right? Or if someone, let's say, doesn't really want to go deep into their shadows and know the truth of what's going on, they're probably not going to like working with me. But those people who love working with me, I know who they are, right? They're already doing amazing things in the world, and they want kind of almost that deep pain of truth. They're like, yes, just tell me what's going on for real. And so those people love working with me. And I wonder, who do you know love working with you? Love working with you.
Most of the time, the funny thing I did not know about before was that most parents are resonating with everything that I've been sharing online. It's probably because I have Alphonse, I have kids, and I am managing a business and still being able to be an effective mom. That's it. So creative parents specifically. And it's interesting because I used to think that, creatives are attracted my way, hand lettering artists. It's not just that, actually. So it has a deeper connection with parents. And that was fun to know because I did not think about it. I did not plan on attracting those people. I merely showed up and tell people what I do and who am I. I just got real. So people get confused about getting real a lot of times. Like, do I have to cuss online? No, you don't. So even if you, I have a potty mouth in real life, but I don't do that online simply because I'm not comfortable doing that online, and that's not being real, right? So I just showed up and got real, and people just came to me and started working with me, and I am very much accommodating in DMs. So whenever people send me DMs, I talk to them, I chat with them. Sometimes people will be confused. Are you pitching something? Actually, no, I'm just connecting.
Yes. And it's actually a big part of your business model. And it's also part of your genius, right? Is like that ability to connect. And I were talking earlier, and I'm like, that's not my genius at all. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't know there was a whole messaging folder, and I have messages from like 6 months ago. Whoops, sorry about that. But it's just part of your genius, right? And so, and you being who you are, showing up as your genius, as a coach, as a business owner, as a mom, right? As a wife, as a creative, that really allows people to see who you are. And then when you state, so this is the tip of getting high-end clients that we're talking about. You really have to be clear on who loves you and who loves working with you, because you kind of just say that over and over again. And then you realize who you mean to them. And I guarantee you, Mai, just because I feel like this is true for me, when I look at you and your inspiration, I guarantee you, you're probably inspiration and hope for a lot of these business owners who are also parents, right? Because it's like, oh, look what she's doing. And so when you start realizing who loves working with you, you start realizing who you are for them. And it's really powerful to just sit in that energy and just be like, oh, wow, yeah. And again, you're their medicine, right? You give them a piece of medicine that they need.
Yeah, oh, thank you. I thought I was just being real and connecting with people, but there's a whole lot of magic going on behind the scenes, and Anna understands that best. So it's super. This this episode is something that I truly, truly love, because it's something that I don't usually talk about. I talk about fear and all those stuff, but I did not know what's going on behind the scenes. Like there's a whole lot of different energy that drives all of our actions. So now everything makes sense. I don't know about you guys who are watching us right now, if anything of this makes sense to you right now. So tell us, share us your experience. And by the way, if you have any questions right after we talked about all the 5 things that your high-end client require from you, let us know, okay? So I will keep Anna as much as possible, as much as Instagram allows, so she can answer all of your questions. Okay, so we have talked about how many? 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have talked about 3. Say who you are and who they are and who you are to them. So it's like finding your ideal customers and then showing your ideal customers who you are, because the moment every time that you share your experience online, it's kind of like getting closer to them. You are allowing them to get into your own little world. So them being a part of your world is something special. And sometimes people actually don't pay attention to that. So you have to start allowing people into your own. It doesn't mean that you have to share everything online, right? You still have to keep things to yourself. But when you share a little bit of yourself to people, like I share how we have crazy stuff going on around here, especially when Alphonse is not in the mood, that's how our life is. So it's interesting to other people, other parents who are creatives, who are also struggling being a mom and being a creative and getting clients, balancing it all out, which I usually tell people there's no such thing as balance. You just need to learn to adapt and adjust to the situation. So there you have it. Now, shall we move on to the 4th one?
Yes, this one's a good one. Prove you understand their deepest needs. So this comes from trainings that I've heard where you teach classes and you answer people's questions, and that works really well. But when we're talking about high-end clients, high-end clients are not necessarily interested in like the how-to. They want you to speak at their level. So there's a difference this is there's a difference between like a beginner artist and someone who's more advanced, or someone who's maybe a beginner artist, but they're doing the art for different reasons, right? And so it's really important for us to really know who are the different levels of our ideal audience. Because I know a lot of coaches and instructors and creatives, they get kind of caught up because they're like, they can teach to anyone, right? They can really help anyone. They can inspire anyone. And I think it's really important to get more precise in terms of, again, who are the people who love working with you, who you also love working with, and then getting to their deeper desires. And that's when you can do really amazing programs. Like maybe you're teaching watercolor, but maybe it's for celebration, or maybe it's for mourning, or maybe it's for inspiration, right? So there's so many different nuances to whatever it is that you're creating. And so, just ask yourself, like, who do you love working with, right? Who loves working with you at this moment? And really speak to their deepest desires, because it's not usually surface level, right? Oh yeah, you want to learn to make the best watercolors. Typically that's not the case. If you can go deeper into the emotional aspect, that's when it's really going to connect with your ideal clients, when it's like, oh yeah, they see why I want this, right? They see the emotional reason why I need this class or this program.
Yes, exactly. And funny you use the term desire. That's exactly the word that I tell my students as well. You have to address people's desire. They don't just want to learn something from you because they want to learn something from you. They have a deeper reason why. Probably they're bored at home. They're looking for a new hobby because they're bored with their day job, or they are worried about something and they want to have another thing that can take their minds off of that thing. So they have a deeper reason for everything. And you have to understand that deeper reason. It's not just promoting watercolor, whatever it is that you're teaching. So watercolor is just an example. So if you're teaching, like you said, watercolor, I will look at what other reasons are people, do people have that will make them interested in buying my watercolor? Are they bored? You can address those things, and really dig deeper into that need and desire. And then you will see that it's a lot easier to sell when you talk to them on that level, not just on what you're going to learn from this, what you are, right?
Yeah. And you can people will invest more money, and they'll be more invested energetically too in a specific program. So if, for example, if I'm going through a healing process and I also want to learn art or watercolor, and I see that watercolor for healing, for example, right? I'm going to be like, that's the only program out there like this. That's exactly what I need. How much is it? I'm in, right? And you can actually charge more for that because it's a more specific offering.
Yes.
And you're a genius.
Yes. Funny we talked about that. I started lettering specifically because I wanted to divert my attention to all the fears that I was having. I was in a foreign country, raising a family. One of them has special needs. And then I'm so sad because I don't have friends around. And I don't make money at the time because my creative business, my scrapbook business design, I cannot design anymore. So lettering has become my obsession. I know I know how to letter since I was a kid, but that it came out once in my scrapbook history, and I just said, oh, I can do this for a living. I shut it down and said, I can letter, but I can't do this for a living. So I'll just continue designing scrapbook designs. And then eventually Alphonse came. And the only thing that actually helped me heal, because I was already having stupid thoughts. When you are on the verge of depression and you're super sad. I don't know if it's just sadness or depression. I was not clinically diagnosed. Overwhelmed and scared because Alphonse is very young. I don't know what's going to happen. He has so many therapies, doctor's appointments and all that. I did not know. So all of those things are going on in my head, and I took lettering because it's about the only thing that I can do at the time. He takes naps. He won't allow me to go and stand. So he naps on the couch. He likes it there. And whenever I stand up and try to work on my scrapbook designs, he is going to wake up, get irritated, and I don't like it when he's irritated because it's going to be super difficult to care for him. So I just stayed on the couch. I was watching TV for a couple of weeks. I was just, is this going to be my life? Like, I'm just going to be watching TV for the rest of my life because I have to take care of my son. And then that was when I picked up a pen and a Muji notebook and I started lettering. I just have a pencil and a eraser and then that notebook. That's it. And then I started sharing it on Instagram and look where it got me.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful. And I was talking to my friend about this because I don't have kids yet. And I'm like kind of waiting, like, okay, like waiting, there'll be like a perfect time, not gonna happen. But this is something really powerful. And this might be resonating for some of the parents here. Every kid brings opportunities to you, right? It's just like something about every kid. They bring this whole level of their possibilities and of opportunities. And so every time we might be like, okay, well, if I have more kids, but every kid brings their own resources. And so I love hearing that story because you kind of had to adapt and it ended up working really well, right? So like, I love that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Now, it is funny because we talked about how I charged when I was starting, right? And this is something that I have been encouraging. I did not want to interrupt the session, but I know we have limited time. But something that has been, I have been talking about with many other creatives and other fellow artists as well, who are teaching other people. One thing that we always worry about as creatives is, will people pay us for our creative services? Are people gonna pay the price that we set? If I try and charge too much, can you share with us a little bit about that? How was your experience? And I know, is that the fifth one?
Yes.
Oh,
You're so good.
I glanced at it and I was like, oh, it's pricing already. So are we talking about that? Interesting. So pricing is almost a taboo topic online. I don't know if it's with other businesses as well, but for us creatives, it's almost like a taboo topic. So when I was starting, there was no guides. There probably were books, but not many people wanted to talk about their rates. Not many people wanted to share their rates with other people. You have to be sneaky. And the thing that I shared with you earlier, for me, it was just like, I'm just gonna set this rate because this is where I'm comfortable at. This is about what it will cost clients to take my time away from my son. For me, that time I had really nothing to lose. I did not plan on making money as a creative. And I think part of that was people thought it was confidence, that I was super confident about my work. But the thing was, I'm confident about my work too, because I know I've spent months and months and months building my lettering style. But more than that, I was really clear that I don't want to take my time away from my son for not enough good reason,
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the pricing piece, I think it's a little bit more transparent now, or at least there are websites where you can look at least what contractors are charging, whatever. But the important thing for creatives, I think, is to really invest your time and energy into your genius, into your style, into your art, into the uniqueness of what you do, into expressing everything in terms of your beliefs, how you live your life, like everything. So you become a true brand. And pricing for ideal clients, I feel like, well, definitely it should always be aligned. So you're not just charging some crazy price because you're like, oh, I'm just going to throw a price out there. Yeah, you can do that as long as you feel good about it, right? So as long as you honestly feel good about the pricing, it feels aligned for what you're offering, what you're doing. having pricing that's a little bit of a stretch is actually really exciting for ideal clients. And a really quick example is I've been working with chiropractors for a long time, meaning like I hire them, right? Because I like have all these like computer issues. And there's a chiropractor that I saw who was 5 times the price of a standard chiropractor. And I was like, this is fascinating. Why is she almost, $600-800, right, for a few sessions versus other chiropractors that are like $50-70, right, for a session?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that is fascinating. I want to work with her. And you know what she told me? She's like, you have to get on my wait list for a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that because I want to know what the heck you're doing. I'm absolutely fascinated. And I know she's in her genius, right? I know she's really good at what she does. And I'm like, if I have to wait, I'll wait. And that's fine. And that's what an ideal client is. And, I'm going to show up on time. I already sent her all my stuff. And we can do that as artists too, as creatives too. So having the pricing be a little bit of a stretch, having your pricing be a little bit higher than about like your average, that's okay. As long as you have, like you said, the reasons to back it up. And for you, it was like, my time is precious. I need to spend it with my son, my family, right? And so be very clear on that. And it's okay to have pricing that's higher. Just be able to back it up, just even energetically, right? With reasons.
Yes. And Mama 2+1, she said, I've been surprised because the customers who are my people will pay what I ask. If it's too much, then I've decided they're not my ideal customer base. That is so, so true. The people who doesn't want to work with us, they're not our ideal clients. So don't even try to push yourselves on them because it's never going to work. It is never going to work.
So true. And the ideal clients, it sounds almost too good to be true, but it is true. They love working with you. They see you. They love you, right? Everything that you are, they're willing to pay because it just feels right. And they love that you have standards and that you can't work all the time and that, you're very clear about that. They love that because they don't have a ton of time to be wasting your time. They're just like, yes, I just want a piece of you. Right. So, how like the kind of NTFs, like the digital art now, and everyone, you can own a little piece and the last one sold for like 16 million or something crazy, or actually even more than that. It's like people just want like that special piece and then they'll be happy. So whatever you need for you, your standards to make that happen, your pricing to make that happen, stand confidently behind it.
Yes. And I also have that experience, when I was first starting my first lettering course, Mastering Hand Lettering, I needed a project manager. And I was trying to hire somebody. I don't know where to find them. So I went in a group and then asked people. And then there was this girl who talked to me and she told me her price. It was about $500. And I was like, what? A month? So that was so cheap for a project manager that even I'm charging more than that for my artwork. So if you are a project manager and you're charging $500, what am I going to get? So sometimes what people don't realize is when you price too low, that equates to your product not being valuable.
Exactly.
Right? So you are, I don't know what the term is. You are devaluing your work. You're devaluing yourself as an artist. So try as much as possible to be comfortable in charging what you're worth and not what you think people can pay you for.
Oh, that's so good. I feel like I need to tweet that out. Charge your worth, not what you think people can pay you for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Because we always think about that all the time. Oh, this is not something that people want to pay. I stopped, I don't know. Probably the reason why I was doing this, because I know I have a lot of people who have raised their brows when they see my prices. They raise their eyebrows when they see my prices because I'm not that famous online. I don't have that large following, but it's what I'm comfortable with. And I know that I work really, really hard and I share everything that I know to a lot of people. I teach everything that I know. I do not hide anything. So whenever people get into my program, they will get the whole shebang of what mine knows about business. And my zone of genius is I can find out what makes money inside your business. I can practically pinpoint that out when we start talking and you start opening up about what's going on, what was wrong, were you finding difficulties with. My superpower is pointing, oh, that's not what you want to do. This is what you want to do because this is what your people, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's a gift or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, because especially for your people, because, often we're just so stuck in our art that we don't understand the other part, which is who's paying for it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're back. Yeah. So you help them see, oh, this is actually my ideal client. These are the people who are willing to pay me, right? And these are the people I'm so happy to work with. And I want to say one more thing, add one more thing about pricing. And I think this would be really interesting for creative people because I work in the world of energy, right? Like I feel into like what blocks you have and what's flowing and what's not flowing. And when you can charge prices that are maybe just a little bit pushing it for you, like a little bit more than what you're comfortable with versus completely undercharging, what happens is you actually open yourself up to the next level of growth and developing yourself, right?
Yes.
As a person, as an artist, as a coach. That's so important to not be stagnant.
Yes, so true. And I've also experimented on this. So people have been thinking, one of my students actually asked me, you're launching a lot. So what are you doing? I was testing out actually pricing and see how it works. And the funny thing is when I sell a $7,000 coaching service or a 5-figure coaching service, I can sell so much better. But when I try to sell something lower, that's when I have the most difficulty with, because usually the people who are ready to hire you, they will find the money to pay for your services. That is the major difference. And those who just want to have another course or get in another person's coaching program or just want to hire you because they wanted a new logo, they're really not ready for it. They're not as hungry as you think they are. So they're not willing to pay that much. It is an interesting experiment, but it was an eye-opener.
Yeah, the pricing is an energy and it does something to us. And I had a similar experience where I was like, oh, let me run, because of the pandemic or whatever, let me run a program at half the price of what my normal program is. And I mean, yeah, it was still fun. But to be honest, like you said, it's probably easier to fill that higher end program, right? Because you can just be more yourself because you've grown as a person. And so you've grown as a person and then you're kind of teaching something that maybe you taught. It's easier for you taught in the beginning or, whatever. You have to kind of change yourself a little bit, right? For that.
Yes.
So there's actually a cost to lowering your price. So I think that's a really, really great point, which is why, do pricing that's aligned with you.
Yes, and you also evolve as the teacher, as an artist, because you will be compelled to deliver so much more than what the people have paid you for. Do you have that feeling as well?
Yeah, think of that scenario. If someone pays you and you're like, whoa, this is a lot of money. I kind of have to work. This makes me inspired to, produce maybe something at a different level. That's so much more interesting than like, oh, I charge under what I know I should have charged. And now I feel stuck. Now I feel tired. Now I feel overworked. No, like give yourself the other buffer where you're like, oh, now I need to kind of like maybe even have higher standards for myself and my work. For me, it's all about personal growth, right? And pricing is just a reflection of that. So really, it's so important for creatives to just know what inspires them, what helps them grow. And then that's your pricing. That's your offering. That's why I don't have standard programs. I always create new programs, which may or may not be a good thing. It's advised or not advised. But to be honest, it's like super interesting to me because the thing that I'm going through right now, that's what I'm teaching, right? Which is different than what I went through last year. So I think you can function in that way versus having standard templates.
Yeah, the internet just froze for a bit there, but it's really fun. Oh my goodness, we got deep into that conversation. It was super, super fun and interesting. And the funny thing about pricing is because we overthink about it a lot. What am I going to price? What other people are pricing? You just stop looking at what everyone else is doing and start thinking about you. How much do you want to make? How much are you comfortable charging other people? Do you think that is this is one thing that I teach in my courses. When you talk about pricing, it's not just what can they afford. You also have to think about you because you are not running a charity. You're running a business. And we help people too. We help people with our free content. It's not that we don't help them. We help them every single time with our free content and everything else that we put out there. But when it comes to pricing, you have to be very specific that it should be a win-win for not just your client, but also for you. It is a balance of both wins, not just from one side.
Yes, yes. And put some time into creating that value, right, for your pricing. So rather than lowering your pricing, let's say, and be like, oh, I think more people, raise your value, raise how you talk about, where your training is, or your passion for something, or, like what inspired this piece, or, how you've helped people if you teach students, and, what your personal mission is in terms of teaching students. So like all of these things add so many different levels of value. Rather than lowering your price, just like show more value. And then people will be like, oh, of course I would pay 2 times more, 3 times, whatever it is, right? Because there's no other Mai. Right? There's no other Anna. And when I pay for something, I not only just get this thing that I buy, I get you, I get your energy, I get what you stand for, I get all of your experience and your training and your investments. Because, you and I are avid, we invest in a lot of our personal coaching.
Yes.
Right. So exactly. So people get that, right? When they are working with you, and that's priceless. That's so much value. And you become like this world, you create a world of your own where there is no comparison, right? It's really just you. And people get excited by that.
Yes, they get the whole package. Yes. So it has been so much fun, and I hope you guys learned something from this discussion or chat conversation with Anna. So Anna has something very, she is a generous person. So I think she has 3 chapters of her book. And while I wanted to talk about all of these energy stuff that she's talking about in this episode, it's not going to cut the time. So Anna, tell us about your book, Shadow Magic, and where can they find you and your book?
Yes, you can actually get half the book for free. So it might actually be a little bit more than half. Yeah. And I did that because, there's so much, even in just like half of it. I just wanted people to, without any attachment or whatever obligation, just like read it and then be able to work on the shadows that are coming up for you. Right. And so you can just go to annatsui.com, and I think it's /book. So just my name, ANNATSUI.com/book. And then you put in your email, and then we would never spam you. And then you just download the book, and then you'll see worksheets. You'll see this whole piece that I do with myself and with my clients around how to identify these shadows that are just keeping you from maybe charging a little more, keeping you from truly owning your value, keeping you from saying, oh, I can work with these ideal clients that are a little scary, a little intimidating for me, but maybe they're waiting for you, right? But we can't sometimes see our own values. So the book helps you see and identify those shadows so that you know what to do with them, or at least are aware of them, so that you can come back and lead your business from your executive place versus from your fear. Most of us are leading our business from fear. Like, I'm afraid, I don't know if I can succeed. I don't know if I can get this client, right? What if I take this risk and I don't make it? And those are all voices of fear. They're not true, but they can stop us for years and years and years and years. So don't do that. Be in your genius, be in your creative genius. And that's what the book is for.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. You are so generous to give half of the book to us. I know, I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to be downloading that. So we need that. I need to read that because you have helped me a lot, and I know that you are good at what you do. And where can people find you on social media, by the way? Are you also on social media?
Yes, I'm definitely on Instagram. I do some trainings and videos there, and I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Facebook a little bit more. Mai was teaching me how to use Instagram. I'm so ashamed. I'm like, Mai, how do you do that? I feel like so old. Yeah, but I'm definitely on Instagram. So definitely connect with me there. And also, Mai, thank you for your amazing content. I love your page and your profile.
Thank you. And I'm glad you like it. So it has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'll talk to you soon. And you guys, we did not see any questions. So we were not we don't have anything to answer. But thank you all for joining us live today and for sticking with us until the end. I know it's quite a long episode, but it's packed with so much information and good energy. So I hope you picked up both mine and Anna's energy and start your day right. Or I don't know, maybe sleep a little bit better if you're on the other side of the world. So thank you all so much for showing live with us today. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.